I'm going to go ahead and get started because we have a lot of information to go over. But welcome folks who stayed on the line, or if you're new to joining today, we're going to be starting a brand new orientation for the district coordinator view of the PBSES website. So for those who are just joining the call, my name is Nicole Pintel. I'm part of the evaluation team for the Florida PBS project, and I also have on the line with me Stephanie Martinez, who's going to be helping with the chat today. So I'm going to be sharing with you all an overview of the new evaluation system from a district coordinator's point of view. And throughout this orientation, I'm going to encourage you to type in any questions in the chat box. Stephanie is here to help me monitor that and to answer any questions that come up. All right. So before we get started, I want to first show you that there's a new live binder, on the live binder shelf that includes information about how to navigate the PBSES website. Included in this binder, we have information about today's orientation. We also have some frequently asked questions about PBSES, such as how to log in, how you can enter data, some information that has changed from the previous system that you might have questions about, as well as what you can actually do with the website. So district coordinators are going to have the opportunity to use the PBSES website to view and update school profiles for schools in their district, to view and update any demographic records. District coordinators are able to enter evaluation data for all open evaluation forms for the schools in their district, including the walkthrough, which I know is a new thing and very exciting. They're able to monitor the status of submissions of data for schools in their district. They can view historical data for any evaluation form, and they can view some interactive school and district level data reports. All right, so we also have in our live binder a guide for potential technical difficulties you might experience. Such as logging into PBSES. And I'll mention right now that the URL for the new website has changed slightly. So if you have that URL bookmarked anywhere from the previous version, please delete that bookmark and re-bookmark it. You can access the PBSES system by visiting our Florida PBIS homepage and clicking on evaluation here, and it will bring you to the login information page. We also have a bunch of step-by-step guides for using the website, both from a school point of view as well as from a district coordinator point of view. So included in this live binder are resources to help you view school profiles, to monitor data submissions, to submit data for a school in your district, to update demographic record, to view historical data. And a new resource is this mid-year one support resource, and it really covers all things mid-year one, which you might want to look at right now or very soon, but it does give you some more information. And I don't know why they're not loading here, but you should be able to visit these resources, download them, save them, and use them for navigating the website. So I went through all of that just to let you know that in a couple minutes, I'm going to be going over really all of these functions from a district coordinator's point of view. But if you are having any trouble, if you didn't catch something I said, these will be available, or they are available on the live binder website, on the evaluation homepage. So you don't have to take extensive notes. And we are going to be recording these, or we have been recording these orientations, and district level orientation as well as the school level orientation will be made available very soon if you miss anything or if you want to review one of these webinars. All right, so with all of that, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the good stuff and log into the PBSES website. So to log in, again, I enter my email and my password from the previous system. I'm going to select district as my access type and submit, and this will bring you to the evaluation homepage. So I'm logging in as a fictitious demonstration district, so all of the data that you're going to be looking at here will be fake. But you can see in this gray bar that I am from the demo district. I have the option of selecting a school right now that I want to work with on the website, but that's not required. It's recommended, it's not required, but it's recommended if you're going to be doing a lot of various functions for a specific school. But if you're going to be jumping around to different schools when you're working on our website, you don't necessarily have to choose a school right here. It will prompt you to select the school when the time comes. All right, so first I'm going to show you how you can get some basic information about your schools in your district and how you can update a school profile. So to do this, I'm going to go to the Administration tab in this blue ribbon, and I'm going to select Manage Schools. And this will give you a table with all of the open schools in your district, so not just the PBSES schools, but every school in your district. And it will have information about if that school is currently active with the Florida PBSES project, if they've been trained by us, the date of their initial Tier 1 training, which the training records are missing for this demonstration school, but you'll be able to see the date of their last training, how many trainings they've participated in, if they ever, the highest level of model school award that they've received, and the last year they received a model school award. You can also see, update a school profile right here. You can just click edit. It will bring you to a school profile where you can look at the contact information. You can also, this is where you can get information about a school's username and password for PBSES. So their username is their school ID, their password will be here, and you can send that to your schools. You can also make updates to contact information, and you can just click update here to save those changes. Another way you can update a school profile is by visiting the school profile page and select from this drop-down the school that you would like to work with. So you can do that same information and you get to the same location. All right, so the other thing you can do under the Administration tab is look at school demographics and update those. So right now, there's no demographic records for this school year, so you'll have to go to a previous year, but you'll be able to look at the schools in your district, and you can edit any demographic information right here. So during the current mid-year evaluation cycle, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong location. All right, so next I'm going to show you how to monitor data submissions for schools in your district. So to do this, you go to Data and Tools and to Monitoring. And it will show you the status of data submissions for all the schools in your district. So for this current 2019-20 school year, you'll notice that the only data that's been submitted is the Fall PBIS Implementation Checklist, or PIC. And that's because that's the only measure that's been open. But you can go here and you can actually click on a submission date to look at some information, a data PIC that's been submitted, and you can go ahead and print that if you'd like. If you see this pending submission status right here, that just means that a measure has not been entered by that school. But a very cool function you can do in the new system is you can look at previous year monitoring. So I can go back to 2018-19 and see a list of my schools and the data that they submitted, and I can go ahead and actually view those records right here. So right now, during this current evaluation cycle, I might want to use this function to look at historical submissions of the outcome data summary. So again, I looked at 2018-19, and I can look at outcome data summary and see which of my schools submitted something. I can also view those submissions right here. I can print them, I can save them, and I might notice that I want a school to submit updated data because there was a mistake, or maybe like the school's missing their outcome data summary and they might want to submit it. And schools have through December 1st to provide updated data here and still be eligible to apply for model schools next year or during this current school year. So again, you might want to do that. If you do want to submit updated outcome data summary information, you'll visit our evaluation homepage. You'll go down to the mid-year 1 evaluation binder, and you'll select outcome data summary form, where you have the option of downloading the Excel template to provide corrected data. So you can go ahead, if you want to make an update, you'll go to either the equity, the summary with equity or summary without equity, and you'd make those revisions and you would send those to your TA contact who would make sure that they are updated in our system. All right. So I'm going to go back to the monitoring page here, and I'm going to go to the current school year, 2019-2020, and I'm going to notice that this school demo AD has not yet submitted a PIC. And I talked with the school, and they shared their data that they want to submit, and I, as a district coordinator, have the ability to submit this form for them. So to do this, I'm going to go to the Data Tools page, School Data, and I'm going to select that school. So a school AD, demo AD. And right here, I'm going to have the option of submitting data for that school. And the open forms are going to be at the top, and that is the PBS implementation checklist. I can look at the historical PICs that school has submitted by going to history and then view. And then I can also submit a new PIC. So I'm going to click on pending submission, and I can start entering those data. So the first thing you'll probably notice is that I just entered my name as the person entering data. This might look a little different than what you're used to. You're no longer going to see a drop-down list of points of contact or coaches. Instead, you're just going to be entering your name as the district coordinator. Then you're going to go ahead and fill out the PIC form for that school. And again, you've talked to the school, you know what their responses are going to be for all of these different data items, and you're just going on here and submitting it. And I'll show you what happens if you leave a question blank and you click submit. It will not let you submit. It'll actually mark that right here in red. And now you have it ready to submit. And you've already submitted it for that school. So if I had picked that school up here in this gray bar, it would auto-populate, but I didn't, so it's going to make me select the school here. And I can go back and see that the PIC has been submitted for that demo AD school. And I can go ahead and look at that submission if I'd like. I also notice these other evaluation forms down here. These are the unavailable or closed forms. That just means that the window of data entry we're not in that window yet. But you could look at when those forms will open and close. So a lot of these forms are going to be opening in February, April and May, and they close in June for the most part, or March. You can see when that school last completed any of these measures, and you can look at the history for any of the measures. All right, another way you can look at history is by visiting this data history tab on the blue page, on the blue bar up here. That's just an alternative way of looking at historical data. It's going to ask you to select a specific school. I'm going to click Demo AD again in a specific form. Let's click on the fall implementation checklist. And then that will bring the historical information for that school. You can see I had last submitted those data today on October 29th, and I can view that information right here. So there's lots of different ways of looking at history depending on what works for you, but I'm just here showing you a few of those options. All right, so I'm going to pause for just a moment. I went through a lot of information quickly, but I really want to be able to spend as much time as possible in this report section of the website. But I'm going to pause and see if anybody has any questions. All right, so I don't see anything in the chat box and I don't hear anything, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward with the report section of the website. So as a district coordinator, you have the ability to view new data reports for individual schools in your district or a district level report as a whole. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of the district reports, and I'm also going to hopefully show you a little bit of the school reports if we have some time. So I'm going to go to district reports. All right, so we incorporated into the new website these data dashboards and these new data reports to help you in real time look at and interact with your district's data. And we have seven different tabs down here that you can work with. I'm going to go ahead and go to full screen to make it easier to see. But you have seven different report tabs that you can look at. And at the bottom, see at the bottom of the screen. And we're again looking at some fictitious data for a demonstration school. So this is the first dashboard page that you'll see. And it's kind of giving a quick overview of the status of PBIS implementation in your district. This gray box here is one way to monitor overall status of implementation across schools in your district. It's updated in real time, and it's going to show the number of active schools, the last date in which any school received training, the primary district coordinator's name, and the percentage of active schools that have submitted data in your district to date. You'll notice right now these are all blank except for the PIC implementation checklist, or the PBIS implementation checklist, or PIC. And that's because these other measures are not open currently. But when end year cycle opens up, you'll be able to see some of these other measures kind of increasing as schools continue to enter their data. So this gray box is the only section on this dashboard page that will show you real-time data for 2019-20. The rest of the page is going to be showing you information from the previous school year. And that's because, for the most part, you're using data that's submitted near the end of the school year to make implementation decisions about currently, in the current school year, about implementation. So on this page, you'll be able to get information about the percentage of schools reporting an active core, if you had any schools receive a model school award over the previous couple of years. And then we have this PBIS implementation early warning system. And so these 4 gauges here are meant to help you as a district coordinator identify the proportion of schools in your district that might be off track or might need some additional support around PBIS implementation. You might also be curious of specific schools that are falling in here, and I'll go over that soon. But included is the percentage of your schools that are implementing with fidelity as measured by the BOQ, the percentage of schools that report any increasing discipline outcomes, percentage of schools who report significantly disproportionate discipline outcomes for any of the student subgroups, and as well as the percentage of your schools in which that have not received any professional development from Florida PBIS within the past 3 years. So again, that kind of gives you a quick overview, but if you go to this early warning system details page, it will actually list the specific schools in your district that are included in those proportions. So again, I think it was 20% of the schools in this demonstration district need help reaching fidelity at tier 1. And this page will actually list those specific schools that scored below 70 on the BOQ. Again, you can look at the actual schools for each of these different sections. Excuse me. And then you'll also see at the top of this page the discipline risk ratios for all the schools in your district by student subgroup. And you can actually filter these based on the school type. Let's say you only want to look at elementary schools, and you only want to look at those elementary schools that experienced moderate disproportionality or significant disproportionality for any of the one subgroups. So that's one function that you can do. All right, so next I'm going to go to mid-year implementation. So this page shows the average fall and spring PBIS implementation checklist scores and critical element scores of the PIC for your district for whichever year and school type you've selected. So this is 2019-20, so it's actually showing that 20% of your schools who've submitted a PIC so far, what their scores are. But if you want to look at previous years, you can go ahead and click on previous years, and it will show you both the fall and the spring PIC. Again, you can filter by school type, so maybe just elementary schools or just middle schools. And we'll show you the percentage of trained schools that will remain active. And so for most of the figures on the report pages I'm going to go over, you have the option to go into focus mode. And that's clicking up here, this little focus mode button. And it will bring whatever graph you have selected into a full screen mode, which you can then save and print. But you can also right click on any of these points. You can right click and you can say see records, which will display more detailed information for any specific component of the graph. So again, this is showing just that subscale of the PIC, the tier 3, this score for each individual school. And you can go right here. You can also right click on a graph and say show data. It will bring you into focus mode for that graph, and it will show you the actual data associated with those different bars. So those are a few different ways that you can use focus mode. You can also hover over a lot of these and see some more information. So this is really the same information that's going to be included when you click show data. All right, so next I'm going to go to the End Year Implementation page. This page lets you look at information about the BOQ and the TFI for the schools in your district. So here you can see the percentage of schools with data that reported implementation fidelity at Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. So that's with the BOQ and the TFI. You can also look at the average BOQ score across time for the schools in your district, as well as the average TFI scores across time, total scores, as well as subscale and BOQ critical element scores. You can see some of this is kind of difficult to see, but you can hover over these labels and they'll show you what they are, or you can go into focus mode to see the full labels here. I exited full screen, so I'm going back. Again, you can look at whatever years you would like to. You can filter by school type. All right, so the next page is a Tier 1 walkthrough page. I'm going to look at 2018-19, 2017-18. It will show you your walkthrough, your total walkthrough score, the average walkthrough score for all of the schools in your district reporting data, as well as the average scores for the different subscales of the walkthrough, sections of the walkthrough. This particular demonstration district is missing a lot of data down here. But if you had walkthrough data, you would be able to see the percentage of classrooms, students, and staff that responded positively to those sections 5, 6, and 7 of the walkthrough. And I'm going to actually show you a little, kind of like a pie graph right there. All right, so next is the outcomes page. Here, this might look a little complicated at first, but it really allows you to dive deeper into the data and compare PBIS implementation and outcomes for the schools in your district. So these first two visuals at the top of the page, you can actually select the outcome and the data type that you wish to view. So I can look at office discipline referrals, I can look at in-school suspensions or out-of-school suspensions, and I can view these as a rate per 100 events or days for students, or I can look at a total count. So I can go ahead and update that now to look at the different ways of examining the data. Right now I want to look at office referrals at a per 100 student count. That will update these two graphs right here. All right, so this blue and orange graph separates the schools in your district into high and low implementing schools and compares higher low implementation to the selected outcome type that you've chosen down here. So for this this school, it has actually their higher implementing, this district, their higher implementing schools are experiencing a greater number of office referrals per 100 students than their lower implementing schools. And again, this is fictitious, so this data will probably look a lot different for your district. This is a scatter plot. It actually graphs each individual school's BOQ score on the y-axis to their selected outcome type. So right here is office referrals per 100 students. But a cool thing about this is you can hover over these individual dots and see the school name and see their scores. So that might be helpful for helping you as a district coordinator identify individual schools who might need some support. Finally, we have this table at the bottom, and it just lists all the schools in your districts and some of their implementation and outcome scores. You can sort this table using arrows, like right here. You could sort by high to low for the different columns. You can also filter all of the information on this page by year. You can select a specific year or a specific school type. All right, and the final page of the district level reports is the equity page. So the equity page shows you the average risk ratios as well as the average risk or the percentage, the average percent of students from various demographic subgroups that receive the discipline outcome that you have. So similar to the outcomes page, you can select right here the outcome type that you want to look at, focus on. You can also look at some of this information over time, select different years. And I'll note that we have a lot of resources in the Evaluation Live Finder to help you interpret some of these data, such as how risk ratios are calculated and how to help you interpret the risk ratios. So if you have questions about that, you can go ahead and visit Live Finder. But right here is where you can get some of those information, filter by school type and by year. So we have about 5 more minutes. I'm going to show you in a minute a school level report, but I'll take another second to pause and ask if there's any questions right now before I do that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a school level report. All right, so similar to, this is actually where I'm going to use this gray bar. I'm going to select the school I want to work with. I'm going to select that AD school again. And it will actually, and then I'm going to go to my school level reports. And it will show you a school level report for the school that you have selected right here in the gray bar. So this is the information for that demo AD school. You'll see that the schools will also have access to these reports for their individual schools. And you also have access to all of the reports for the schools in your district. So the first thing you'll see is this dashboard page. It looks a little bit similar to what you see from the district level. But right here, you'll be able to see schools' actual BOQ scores, Tier 1 walkthrough scores, and TFI scores, which you can filter by Tier 2 or Tier 3, and core effectiveness. You can look at if discipline outcomes were increasing or decreasing for the school, as well as any levels of disproportionality. And schools also have an early warning system. So they'll be able to see the school scored very high in their BOQ, but if they scored below fidelity for any of the critical elements, those critical elements would be listed here. You can see that this school experienced an increase in out-of-school suspension rate, which is listed right here, 46%. But they did not report any discipline risk ratios greater than 2.5, so there's nothing listed there. You'll also be able to see when that school received training from Florida PBIS. And similar to the district coordinator view, schools have an implementation page, they have a walkthrough page, an outcomes page, and an equity page. And this is where you can get specific information about scores on the PIC, the BOQ, or the TFI. Here, you can look at their actual scores for the years that you have selected. You can look at their walkthrough scores across time. And you'll be able to look at some outcomes and compare those outcomes to implementation. So this particular school looks like they're kind of increasing in their BOQ score over time, and they're decreasing in their rate of office discipline referrals. Again, you'll have the option of looking at some different outcome types and data types here, as well as look at how the school is performing compared over time and compared to the lowest 25% quartile for their school type, as well as changes in discipline rates. Finally, schools will have this equity page, which is similar to what I showed you for the district coordinator view. They'll be able to look at their risk ratios that were reported over time, as well as the risk or the percentage of students within each of these demographic subgroups who experienced the selected outcome type during that report year. So that's a quick overview of everything that you'll be able to do in the new PBSES website. If you have any questions about the websites or the reports, I'll encourage you to go back to that live finder and see what resources are included, or you can contact your Florida PBIS contact, and they'll help you navigate. We have about a minute left, so I'm going to hang out on the line and see if you all have any questions before we sign out.